The world is full of places that inspire fascination and fear at the same time. From forests wrapped in dark legends to castles where the past seems to come alive. From dizzying cliffs to underground caves where darkness is absolute, these attractions challenge our senses and our courage. Some impress us with extreme beauty, others with imminent danger, and all carry stories that give chills even to the bravest. That is exactly what we are going to see here today. Isla de las Muñecas is one of the most enigmatic and macabre places in Mexico, located on the canals of Xochimilco, to the south of Mexico City, Mexico. Known for being covered with dolls hanging from trees, cabins, and structures, the island attracts visitors for its frightening atmosphere and the mysterious story that surrounds it. The island's legend is linked to Don Julian Santana Barrera, who was the only inhabitant of the place. According to reports, in the 1950s, Don Julian decided to live isolated on the island. He is said to have found the body of a young girl who supposedly drowned in the nearby canals. Soon after, he began finding a doll floating in the water, which he believed belonged to the deceased girl. To calm the young girl's spirit, Don Julian hung the doll on a tree. He then began to collect more dolls, decorating the entire island because he believed that this would ward off evil spirits. Don Julian's obsession with the dolls increased over the years. He would pick up dolls from trash bins, trade them for food, and even hang parts of broken dolls. In 2001, Don Julian was found dead in the same canal where he said he had found the girl's body. The coincidence further fueled the supernatural stories about the island. Many of the dolls are in a state of deterioration, with missing eyes, broken heads, and mutilated parts, which increases the macabre feeling. Visitors frequently report a sensation of being watched, and there are stories of dolls that move their eyes, arms, or emit whispers. Isla de las Muñecas is a popular tourist attraction, accessible only by boats that travel the Xochimilco canals. Despite its fame, many people still consider the island a place of respect and mystery, more than just a curiosity. Nyiragongo volcano, located in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, near the border with Rwanda, is considered one of the most active and dangerous on the African continent. Situated within Virunga National Park, it rises to about 3,470 meters in altitude and houses in its crater a huge lava lake, pointed to by many specialists as the largest and most persistent in the world. The most frightening characteristic of Nyiragongo is the exceptional fluidity of its lava, which can flow down the slopes at unusual speed, reaching populated areas in a matter of minutes. This becomes even more concerning due to the proximity to the city of Goma, inhabited by hundreds of thousands of people, which has already been severely affected in past eruptions, such as that of 2002, when lava flows destroyed entire neighborhoods, killed hundreds of people, and left thousands homeless. In addition to the direct threat of lava, the region also lives with the invisible danger of toxic gases released by the volcano, such as carbon dioxide, which accumulates in depressions in the terrain and can cause asphyxiation. Despite the evident risk, Nyiragongo has become a tourist attraction sought after by adventurers from all over the world, fascinated by the impressive sight of the constantly moving lava lake. However, visiting this giant of nature means facing one of the most extreme and unstable settings on the planet, where beauty mixes with a real and permanent threat. King Dakar, a roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, United States of America, was indeed considered one of the most extreme attractions in the world and, therefore, also seen as dangerous by many people. It was inaugurated in 2005 and maintained impressive records: a height of about 139 meters, a maximum speed of 206 kilometers per hour, with a vertical ascent of 90 degrees, top hat, followed by a steep drop and other high-impact elements. In addition, the extreme nature of the acceleration and height already implied high G-forces, the possibility of vertigo, fear, physical discomfort, and required rigorous safety procedures, constant maintenance, and shutdowns on bad weather days, among other precautions. In 2005, there was a failure of a bolt in the launch train that caused friction with the propulsion cable, mechanical impacts, and sparks. Although no one was seriously injured in this case, the incident already highlighted the risks involved. A transparent acrylic pool was installed between two blocks of a luxury residential complex in the southwest of London, England. The unprecedented model was called Sky Pool, or translating, Sky Pool. The installation is on the 10th floor of the two blocks, at 35 meters in height, and residents can pass from one building to the other by swimming. The acrylic sides are 20 centimeters thick, and the entire structure of the pool weighs the equivalent of 50 tons, in addition to holding 148,000 liters of water. Residents who are a bit afraid of heights abyss can remain in the water at either end of the structure, where it is anchored on the rooftops and more closely resembles two common outdoor pools. Manufacturing was done in the state of Colorado, in the United States of America. The so-called Dean's Blue Hole is on Long Island, in the Bahamas, and it is a marine sinkhole, or sea abyss, about 202 meters deep, which makes it one of the deepest in the world. The visible mouth at water level is about 25 to 35 meters in diameter, but just below, the cavity opens widely, forming a huge aquatic abyss surrounded by white sand beaches and rocky walls that create a kind of natural amphitheater. This combination of beauty with risk attracts many free divers willing to seek adventures. There is even an annual competition, Vertical Blue, which brings together athletes from all over the world. But the abyss also has a record of tragic episodes. In 2013, for example, the diver Nicholas Mevely died after attempting a free dive of about 72 meters without extra equipment, running out of air after surfacing. The danger of the place does not come only from the depth, but also from factors such as disorientation due to darkness as one dives, pressure variation, risk of syncope or panic, currents that can surprise, lack of safety structures in some stretches, and the absence of lifeguards in certain areas. All this means that despite being dazzling, Dean's Blue Hole is not just a place for peaceful contemplation. For many, it represents an invitation to silent danger. The Sedlec ossuary, also known as the Bone Church in the Czech Republic, is indeed a place that is frighteningly beautiful and sacred, full of symbolism, history, and macabre art. The Sedlec ossuary is, as its name suggests, in Sedlec, a suburb of the city of Kutna Hora in the Czech Republic. It is located beneath the Cemetery Church of All Saints, part of the city's old monastery. Although it looks like a common old chapel from the outside, its interior reveals something extraordinary. It is estimated that there are between 40,000 and 70,000 human skeletons, many arranged artistically to form decorative pieces and part of the chapel's furnishings. It all began in the 13th century when the abbot of Sedlec brought from Jerusalem a bit of soil from Golgotha, which he spread over the local cemetery, making the place a desired burial site. Over time, especially during the Black Death and conflicts such as the Hussite Wars in the 14th and 15th centuries, thousands of bodies were buried there. As graves accumulated and space in the cemetery ran out, bones were exhumed to make room for new burials. In the year 1870, the carpenter and artist František Rindt was hired by the Schwarzenberg family to artistically organize the bones accumulated in the chapel. He created a chandelier that contains at least one of each bone in the human body, as well as garlands of skulls, skeletons reorganized into pyramids, altars, crosses, chalices, and even a Schwarzenberg family coat of arms made entirely of bones. His signature in bones appears near the entrance to the chapel. Although the environment is macabre, many visitors report that it conveys an atmosphere of contemplation, silence, and reverence. The place is also a very popular tourist attraction, receiving hundreds of thousands of visitors per year who come both for the sinister beauty and for the historical and religious importance. Leap Castle in County Offaly, Ireland, is indeed very famous as one of the most haunted castles in the world. Its dark history, violent events, and reports of supernatural entities make it a frightening attraction full of mystery. The site stands on land said to have been sacred to Druids even before fortresses existed there. Its foundations go back to ancient dynasties, but it was the O'Carroll family that turned the castle into a feared stronghold, marked by blood betrayals, violent deaths among brothers, and cruel rivalries. In 1532, in the middle of Mass in the chapel, one of the brothers, a priest, was stabbed in the back by another, falling dead upon the altar. This dreadful event went on to haunt the place, and many visitors report having seen his shadow or felt his presence near the altar. During renovations in the 20th century, a hidden dungeon was discovered behind the chapel wall with traps in the floor, accessible only through a hatch in the ceiling. At the bottom of this cell, human bones were found, impaled on wooden stakes. There were so many bones that they were removed in dozens of cartloads. These macabre discoveries amplified Leap's reputation as a place of horror and suffering. Beyond these older stories, several supernatural entities are associated with the castle, such as the Elemental, a malevolent spirit described as a relatively small creature with the appearance of decaying skin and a smell of sulfur or putrefaction, sometimes perceived by people on visits or by paranormal investigation groups. They also speak of the Red Lady, a woman dressed in red with a dagger, who wanders the corridors, turning the local environment into a true sea of terror. Zhangjiajie National Park in Hunan Province, China, is a place of spectacular beauty. Sandstone mountains that rise like floating islands, rock walls covered with forest, mystical mists, deep valleys, and transparent bridges between precipices. However, this beauty comes with real dangers that make Zhangjiajie one of the most fascinating and frightening attractions at the same time. The park's famous glass bridge, for example, measures about 430 meters in length by 6 meters in width and is suspended approximately 300 meters above the ground. Walking across it requires facing the fear of heights, vertigo, strong wind, fog, and, on bad days, practically zero visibility, which can make any step unsafe. In addition, there are glass walkways and skywalks, such as the Coiling Dragon Cliff Walkway on Tianmen Mountain, that are installed on the sides of cliffs. On these structures, any maintenance failure, any loose panel, or wet surface becomes a serious risk of slipping, or worse. Another danger is the weather. Heavy rain, dense fog, slippery trails, stones covered with moss. At the top of the mountains, temperatures drop quite a bit and the weather changes quickly, catching travelers off guard. There is also the risk of overcrowding, especially at popular attractions, which increases the chance of stumbles, falls, stress, and minor accidents. The flow of people at viewpoints or on narrow walkways can become chaotic. Zhangjiajie is in fact a place that mixes the dazzling and the dangerous, spectacular to see, but which requires respect, preparation, attention to weather alerts, good equipment, and avoiding peak hours whenever possible. The Wieliczka salt mine in Poland is truly a fascinating attraction, full of underground beauty, history, and art, but it also carries real dangers and an atmosphere that many find a bit frightening. The Wieliczka salt mine is on the outskirts of Krakow and is one of the oldest salt mines in the world. Its exploitation dates back to the 13th century, and it functioned continuously until 1996 as a productive mine. Today, it is a World Heritage Site of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, used as a museum, tourist center, space for respiratory therapies with saline air, and it houses sculptures in the underground chambers, chapels, and galleries richly ornamented entirely in salt. However, descending into its deep tunnels means immersing yourself in a dark and silent world where the space narrows, humidity is constant, the air can feel heavy, and the environment is cold and damp. This can generate physical discomfort and vertigo, as well as claustrophobia for those with that kind of sensitivity. There are many wooden steps and tunnels that go up and down several hundreds of meters, which is tiring and demands redoubled care when walking because floors can be slippery or uneven. Other risks include permanent water infiltration in the galleries, which can cause flooding or partial collapses if they are not well maintained. The geological structure, exposed to faults, can make certain areas unstable or susceptible to internal slides of salt or ceilings, although the tourist parts are reinforced. Even so, there are older zones that require constant monitoring and maintenance. Despite this, the site is well organized for visitors. There are official tourist routes, guides, safety regulations, and parts closed off for preservation or due to risk. Pripyat in Ukraine is a ghost town that has become a fascinating and terrifying tourist destination, especially after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986. Originally built to house the workers of the nuclear plant, Pripyat was hastily evacuated after the accident, leaving behind an intact yet desolate city. Today, the city attracts tourists in search of a unique experience, exploring places such as the amusement park with its unfinished Ferris wheel, abandoned schools, and empty apartment blocks. However, this visit is not without risks. Residual radiation in the area is still a concern, although levels have decreased over the years. It is essential to follow the guidance of local guides and avoid touching objects or structures, since radiation can be concentrated in certain materials and areas. In addition to radiological risks, the deteriorated infrastructure represents an additional danger. Ruined buildings, unstable floors, and the presence of wild animals can make exploration dangerous for unprepared visitors. Despite these dangers, Pripyat offers a unique view of a dark chapter of modern history, combining elements of historical tourism, adventure, and reflection on the consequences of nuclear disasters. For those willing to face the risks, the city remains a silent witness to a past that should not be forgotten. In Queenstown, in New Zealand, there is a radical attraction called the chair, which offers the unique experience of jumping from a garden chair positioned with its back to a precipice. During the jump, you are seated in a garden chair and positioned on the edge of a cliff, overlooking the Shotover Gorge. From there, you have the option of launching yourself or being released by an instructor, creating an intense sensation of free fall before being swung by a 60-meter rope. Videos showing these jumps go viral on the internet, and many report fear and agony just from watching. The experience experience is described as a mix of fear and fun, providing a unique perspective of the canyon and the river below. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.